Welcome to PintheQ Productions. If you are interested in the culture of the fire service and keeping tradition alive, you have come to the right place. Now sit back and relax with your brothers and sisters and enjoy the show. Be sure to like and subscribe on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. For more information on PintheQ Productions, visit www.pintheq.com.
Hey everyone, welcome back to PintheQ Podcast. We're in Union Beach in Monmouth County, New Jersey, where the guy that most of you, if you've ever been on Instagram in your life, you probably remember this guy's mug. But welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Episode 25, here we are.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
So we've been talking for a while about getting you on the show.
Yes,
and here we are. This hot July day in 2019. The first thing that struck me about your company is how like close knit it is.
Oh yeah,
I love that, man,
yeah.
and it's cozy in here, bro.
It's home. It's a home away from home.
Yeah, man.
It's family, man. It's great.
It's the best, dude. So before we go any further, and because you know we're gonna get into this, man, make sure you tell everybody who you are.
My name is Robert Woodhead. I am the Deputy Fire Chief with the Union Beach Fire Department. Out of Station 65-3, which a lot of people call us the White Knights.
Yes, the White Knights.
Everybody in the Bayshore area knows us.
The White Knights. That's as a matter of fact, when I mentioned your show, Chris Bruno.
Oh, jeez.
Right, from Fire and Iron Fitness. He goes, "Oh, you going to the White Knights?" And I had no idea what that was.
Yes.
And I go, "Yeah."
Yeah. We one of the guys from the outside just came up with it because we were just showing up and we're a company of very aggressive guys, and we're just going to work and doing what we need to do.
I love it, man. So brother, you know, I always start the show the same way.
Right.
Which I like that. I like consistency sometimes. But it's simple. What got you involved in this, man? Like, how did you become a firefighter?
It was my father, my uncles, they were in here. My grandfather was a member out of another station. And I initially was not looking into this. Firefighting really wasn't a thing that I wanted to do. And then when I started to see it more and more, like I grew up in the firehouse, and then it came to the point of when you were younger, you were able playing on the fire trucks. You're like, you know what?
Much different time.
It's a great time where I could go from playing on the fire truck to actually working on the truck. And growing up, and I'm like, you know what? I think it's time to push the button. I started actually not here. I started in Middletown.
Okay.
And started out there with a friend and started to go through it. And then I'm still living in town, but I wasn't making the calls. I was making like bits and pieces. And it got to the point that I was like, you know what? I need to come home. And I came here, started my probationary time here, and it just flourished. And this is the place that I wanted to be again. You know, my dad was an ex-captain. He was a member out of here. My uncle's in this firehouse. One is still here. He's an ex-chief.
Wow.
My cousins are ex-chiefs. My brother's out of here. My cousins are out of here.
Holy cow.
Yeah, legit, we breed firemen. So, you know, when you're giving birth, it's like boy, girl, whatever. Okay, it's going to be out of the firehouse. You know? But yeah, so I came here, and at first I was real skeptical about it. I'm like, I don't know if it was for me. Got a couple of burns in with the guys that I still are here with, and it just took off. And I just, a passion. 16 years later, I'm wearing a white helmet. I can't ask for anything better. I really can't. I love it.
Man, I love being a fireman.
Oh, it's awesome.
You know, I love the smell of the bay. And now having this show, and you know too from traveling around and training, which we'll talk about later.
Yes.
Being able to go to different firehouses, you know, not even New Jersey, but outside New Jersey, that same smell, right? You know the smell I'm talking about.
Oh my God!
Right? When you step into a bay of a firehouse, it has that smell where to me it's like home.
Yes.
You know, and I just absolutely love. So this platform, if you will, allows me to be able to talk to other brothers.
It's phenomenal. I know exactly what you're talking about. You open up a bay door and you just get hit with it, and you're like, oh man, and you feel like you're home.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's great going to other firehouses, and I've seen,
Yep.
and you walk in there, and you know that they recently caught work, or you just, oh my God, it's great.
I went to North Plainfield and I did an episode with Reedman.
Okay.
And it was funny. You know, when we were setting up, you know, Chris is behind the camera. He's always helping. Like, you know, you saw all the production, getting
Yes.
this thing set up. So I needed an extension cord, and at the time I didn't have one with me. So I saw one over there, and I'm like, I just went and got it. And Reedman says to me, he goes, "Isn't it beautiful? Like the fire service, like the fire service is the only occupation or if you know, if you will, or career that you can just walk up and grab something and it's totally acceptable."
Exactly.
It's not like wait, why'd you take my extension cord? You know,
Exactly.
It's
and
just like, take it.
use it. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
You just feel at home, you know, and
Yeah.
that's what I love about the fire service. It just
Yes.
I feel like at home here, you know.
Yeah.
And what I like is I like the white trucks, man. It's different.
Yes, we've had this since we were founded. It was always white, and we
cool.
stuck with it. We never wanted to change it. This is who we are.
Yeah.
You know, and it's tradition, it's pride, and it's what we see ourselves are. And a lot of departments, when they see us come pulling up, they know exactly who's showing up.
You know, from our group, you know, everyone's always breaking my chops about the color of my truck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's safety green. However, it looks like a different color to me, but it's safety green.
Tennis ball green, safety green is the same thing.
Yeah. It's got water in it. It's a fire truck.
Exactly.
So tell me about the beginning for you here. I know you said that, you know, when you first started here, you weren't really sure, you were skeptical, because you're coming from Middletown.
Yeah,
and that's a much bigger agency.
Yeah,
right?
it was a bigger department. I was in a small company. Now I was housing a ladder truck.
Okay.
But I was there when it was, you know, like I said, I'm talking 16 years ago. So it was
Right.
a different department than what it is. So I came here and I started to work with the guys here a little bit more, like my cousins and my uncles and them. And, you know, and I'm not going to lie, like my first fire, I was like, I don't even know if I want to get off the truck. And I went to Middletown Fire Academy where when they had their old burn building, so they burned in every room. And like your second day there, they were like, here's the hand line, go inside, go put the fire out. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, excuse me? And then, you know, coming here, and it was like all the expectations. Like,
Yeah.
everything's riding on me now that I need to show these guys what I'm made of. And if you show that you're afraid at the door, you're gonna freeze. The guys are gonna chew you up. And you know, it's like this might not be for me. So my first fire, I was just like, oh man, I don't know. Got through the first fire, and I'm like, you know what? This is awesome. This is awesome. Here's the adrenaline rush that I needed.
Yeah.
And then from that, we just started. When's the next one? When's the next one? When's the next one? And I just it just took me over, and I'm like, yes, this is where I want to be.
And there's something to be said about, you know, getting into your first fire. And I like you, I remember my first one too, man. There's something to be said about working along the people that you love.
Yes.
You know, and after your first fire, the bond that you establish with people that you consider friends.
Yeah.
But after that first fire, the bond, it's almost a love.
Exactly. And, you know, that's the thing. It's like we come out of every fire, and our guys are always together. We're always chatting it up. We're always talking about it. And it's just you're going to war. You're going to battle. You know, and it's like what a soldier would do with their platoon. You know,
Right.
You're going into something that's going to kill you, that's going to harm you. But you come out and you see everybody that's okay, but you're like, you could talk about it.
Yeah.
You're like, you're freaking awesome. Like, I can't believe you see the push up the stairs. Yeah, man. You see that? Yeah. Oh, dude, I loved it. And it's just everybody's just talking about it, and then it embraces you.
Recently, I had someone that wasn't a firefighter come up to me, and he says to me, you know what I find interesting is, you know, you look at a photograph or a video of a fire building,
Mm-hmm.
and he says the smoke is all the way down to the floor,
Yeah.
and you guys are going into that. You have no idea what's on the other side of that door. Like, don't you think about that?
No.
And it was funny. At first I thought he was busting my chops, right? 'Cause he's not a fireman.
Right.
At first he thought he was busting my chops, but then I realized that he was being serious. You know?
Yes.
And I looked at him right in the face and I said, no. Like, you know, of course there's always going to be that respect for the fire, respect for that smoke, because
Yes.
you don't know what's on the other side of that. But we're going to get it done. We're going to go in that and make that push. We're going to get in there. And for me, and, you know, all the other firemen I know that are in my circle at least, everyone wants to make that push. Everyone wants to get into that smoke.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
that's what we do.
Yeah, and I mean, it's how a lot of people talk my Zen. That's my Zen. It's like with my guys, that's our Zen. Like, as much as chaotic as it can be, it's our Zen when we're inside and, we got guys pushing on a hand line. As chaotic as it could be on the outside and everything's going horribly, we're in there and we're just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, here we go. This is home. This is like yoga for us.
Yeah,
this is Zen.
Unless, I know that the smoke eaters that are watching this right now, they're all like nodding their head laughing because they know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It is a weird calm.
It really is.
Yeah.
And
I never thought of it like that.
Initially, when I got in here, I'm like, this is going to be chaotic. Oh, my God. And then once I got into the first fire and you started to see how things started to smoothly play out,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, this is not like the academy. And you're like, okay, this is, and you start to calm down, and you got your captain yelling at you, going, relax, calm down, conserve your air, stop being an idiot, and then you start to realize, like, this is nice and relaxed, and you come outside, and it's just people running around.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is going on?
Guys dragging LDHs around the lawn.
Like, what are you doing? I don't know what I'm doing. You're like, wow. But yeah, that's our Zen, man.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Everybody knows that. It's you go to a fire and to the people from the outside, and like my wife, she's been with me through like thick and thin of this.
Right.
And seeing me go from a fireman to a lieutenant, captain, and then making the big push where I'm at now, she was like, how do you do it? Like, I don't know. It's just, she was like, this thing looks just insane. It looks like a really bad fire. I'm like, nah, it's absolutely not a bad fire. Like, a heavy fire on the second floor, we're just going to make the push. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And she's like, but it looks horribly. I'm like, from the outside. Inside, it looks perfectly fine.
Yeah. It really is a passion. It is a love. And, we're having our conversation here, and off to my left, I can see Chris like nod his head and smiling. It's funny to me. And, like we all have this, we all get it. We're all in this circle, this awesome circle, I call it.
Exactly. And it's like any firehouse, like you said, you go into any firehouse, you open up the door, you're greeted by these guys. Mm-hmm. And if you are in the like-minded individuals that we are, and that's how we should be, there should be no chips on goddamn shoulders.
No, absolutely not.
Sorry, but there should be no chips on.
A lot worse has been said of this show.
No chips should be on shoulders.
Right.
You know what? Can you have an ego? The ego is checked at the door sometimes.
It should be. Well, it should be.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. I got an ego. My guys got egos. But it's because who we are. But we never show that. We show it on the inside. But we never show it out on the fire scene because that's not right.
Right.
And that's something that we worked on. It was, it's respect. But you go somewhere and we could sit here and like, I can have no clue who you are. And we could talk about the last fire that you had.
Well, incidentally, we're doing that right now. I mean, those of you who are new to my show or watching for the first time, there is no script. My computer that you're looking at right now, all this is the audio to make sure the audio is still going. There is no piece of paper. We did not discuss anything beforehand.
Absolutely nothing.
So yeah, this is what is so beautiful about the fire service, that we can sit here and we can discuss the fire service, and we can talk about our experiences one-on-one like this and laugh and become like, what I like is, now we've known each other before, but not very well.
No.
I only met you 2 other times before this, FDIC and Jackson.
Yes.
But already we have this cool bond.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what's cool about the fire service. Like, I do interviews that I meet people for the very first time. I never only talk to them on the phone. Like, what's your address?
I need your address.
And then I meet them, and at the end of the conversation, we're hugging. It's like we've known each other forever.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the fire service. And it's not like any other career.
Exactly. And it's not. I mean, you could go into a firehouse and you could talk about something that you had. They're going to talk about something that they had. And you're bouncing off so much knowledge off of each other. You could be a 3-year member. You could be a 16-year member. You could be a 50-year member. You could walk into anybody's firehouse and have a great conversation.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to bounce ideas off each other. Hey, man, we had a job over here. We did this. Well, why did you do that? Well, we ran into this. Oh, okay. And it's awesome.
What I try to preach now more than ever is I try to tell the younger firefighters, the new generation of firefighters, if you will, that you need to start grabbing these senior guys and senior girls in your companies and talking to them.
Yes.
Saying, hey, tell me what it was like here. Give me the history of this fire company, because, what was it like when you joined? what were the questions, the questions that I asked on this show are questions that young firefighters should be asking these senior members.
Right. And yes. And that's the thing. That's what I found out from here. And when I got in here, it was not knowing much, and I had to connect with one of the senior guys. And what was good about being out of the firehouse here is my senior guys were willing to grab you and say, look, this is how this is going to go. This is how it's going to get done. Let me show you something. This is how we do it. And that's how it started too.
Yeah.
So you have to grab a senior man, or you got to grab a guy that has seen more work than you have and talk to him.
Yeah.
And I was lucky because in here I had 6, 7, 8 senior guys that had 25 plus years in the volunteer service that have seen from a chemical plant explosion to your
room and content
jobs, and they were giving you, just feeding you the knowledge. Just here, take it, and my plate's full, but I'm going to keep on taking more.
It's funny. I've talked to other guys in other departments where they don't have that.
Yeah, it's hard.
And there's some senior guys out there that they're not going to approach you.
No,
they're just not.
Nope.
But I think it's incumbent upon you to grab them.
Yes.
Say, hey, even if you meet some resistance, because listen, we know, especially some of the old school firefighters, when you walk through that door,
oh yeah,
you're not accepted.
Oh,
you're not
no,
accepted.
No
man.
way, at all.
You have to earn that, man.
Yep.
And I strongly believe that. When I first joined many years ago, I remember no one talked to you. They just didn't talk to you. And you're like, man, this guy is an a-hole. This person. Mm-hmm. But then it wasn't until like later in life you realize that, wait a minute, I'm doing that. I'm noticing when there's new people coming in the door, I'm not talking to them immediately. I'm not embracing them.
Exactly.
And it's not because I'm trying to be that a-hole that they were to me. Mm-hmm. It's almost like a rite of passage.
Yes.
You should have to pay your dues. Mm-hmm. And once you get to that point, I'm hoping you're going to, and now if you're going to come to me and ask me for advice, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what I don't like to see is the newer members that are coming in, career and volunteer, because it doesn't matter.
It's widespread.
But let's just use a volunteer house, for example, because that's where we're at. So you get a new member that comes in,
yes.
right? They get their pager, they get their app, all that stuff. Yep. They get their gear. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't have to tell them, hey, man, you should be checking every cabinet.
Right.
You should know where every piece of equipment is on this rig. Because when we get a job and you get there, we know you're not going to go into the fire building right away. But if I ask you for a set of irons or I ask you for a tool, you better know what cabinet to go to.
Exactly.
And you should be spending all of your time here at the firehouse when you're new, especially when you're new, learning every piece of equipment.
Yes. And
where everything is.
Exactly. And that's how it's supposed to be. You open the doors to a newer member.
But it's not.
It's not everywhere. No, exactly. And like I said, I'm lucky. I'm freaking lucky.
Right.
And it's how I see it is through my career as a volley. Time as a volley, because people, argue that fact. But I'm lucky because the guys inside this firehouse wanted you to succeed. If you weren't going to succeed, we'll notice.
Yeah.
So they were like, hey, we're going to lead you to the water, but it's time for you to drink.
Yeah.
And, they bring you, hey, I need you to go over the truck. You have any questions, you could ask me. And you let them go over the truck. Hey, what's this? And you explain it to them. How much do I have in my crosslays? What do I got in my dead bed? What do I have in my front pan? You start explaining that to them. And then a couple of days later, okay, hey, crosslay. Both crosslays, smoothbore nozzle, how much is on it? Oh, it's 1 3/4 inches, it's 250 feet. Okay, perfect. Hey, what about your second? Smoothbore nozzle, 200 foot. Hey, what do we have in the back? Well, we have this, and this. Okay, now you're starting to drink the water and it's starting to get really good.
If you have your membership to that level, there's no stopping you. No, this is a freight train.
Yeah, and that's like I said, I'm lucky. I come in here and like my younger guys and are just feeding off of it. It's like you got to show from the senior man and the guys from up top. You got to show that it's a passion, it's a drive. You need to do this.
It has to be, man. It has to be. And if it's not a passion, I'm not saying get rid of people, but there's a place for everyone, right? If this really isn't your passion, join the auxiliary part of it. Be an associate member.
Exactly, and there's departments that are around here that do have
Absolutely.
that. And we do notice when it comes to time when you're like actually put them under stress. You're like, all right, you're doing great. You know what's on the rig. You know this. All right, let's start getting you ready for the academy. We start putting them under stressful situations. Like now, it's game time.
Yeah.
You got to start thinking. And then sometimes you get to the point, and like any department sees it, career volley, whatever
It doesn't matter.
is.
Fire is fire is fire.
Yeah, and then it comes to a point that they're like, yeah, this is not for me. I mean, we've had it actually at the fire academies. You know, I'm lucky as well. Is I got instructors that work out at the fire academy, and they're like, yeah, first day. Or I get guys that'll come back, and it's like, yeah, the first day was awesome. And we had like 2 guys quit because it's not for them.
Good.
You know, like they're willing to say so.
Right.
But
and self-evaluation is so important in this job, because you have to know your limitations, and you have to know what you're capable of. For example, and this is just my opinion, I believe that if you step into that rig, you have to be of the best caliber you can be.
yes.
So everyone in that rig is depending on you.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone on the rig is depending on you.
Oh yeah.
But however, on the same scale, if you will, not everybody can be part of RIT.
Nah.
You know, you could have a great firefighter, but maybe they don't meet the level to be a RIT member.
Exactly.
You know,
Yes.
and you know, I'm on the RIT team, and I know our training, you know, is so intense. For some people, it's not about their ability.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about the commitment, about the time that they have
Yes.
to train.
Yes.
So if you come to me and you say, look, I'm sorry, I can't make, you know, the 4 trainings that are required for RIT.
Right.
However, I can make my 2 drill nights or my chill training nights. Okay, no problem. But I'm sorry, you can't be on the RIT team.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? There has to be a point where, you know, we can't make certain sacrifices.
Exactly.
If you know, you have to train it, and those 4 training those are requirements.
Yes. And I mean, we run RIT out of here. We take care of the Bayshore area. We have, the county does have, we're working on a certified RIT teams.
Right.
We've done that. We've started when there was out of another firehouse. And the founding RIT members, you know, you've seen the photo. And those guys were like, you know, we wanted to start this. And they started it, and then every guy that was like looking to progress, it's like, you have to put in the time to go get the training.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put in the time. If you don't have time, then it's not for you.
Just what I was saying.
And then
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And this is how it is here today. You know, and yet again, I go on lucky because I am lucky.
Yeah.
Is everybody inside this firehouse, and the guys that want to be a part of RIT are going to the fire academy, putting the time in, coming here when we're doing our drill nights, or when we're doing a normal station drill. We're also adding RIT into it, keeping guys real sharp, and they're doing the same thing.
You know? We talk about RIT real quick. I just want to think about this. So I was recently at a job, and now our RIT team, we, you know, everyone should say that they have the best place. Everyone should say that.
Yes.
Everyone should, like you're talking about this place,
dude,
man.
yeah.
If you don't feel that way, you have to reevaluate things.
Yes.
But I love where I'm at. And our RIT team is squared away. Mm-hmm. Like you cover a large area. We cover a pretty large area too.
Yes.
And when we get off the rig and we're getting our equipment set up, I mean, we are ready to go. Mm-hmm. Everyone's together.
Yep.
You know, we send one to scout, check the building. You know, check the building. If we have to take gates, or we have to take fences, or we have to start throwing ladders, whatever it is. But someone's on their phone. You know, so now. Why are you on your phone if you're on the RIT team? Like, you know what I mean? We're supposed to be ready to go.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what are you doing on your phone, you know? And then they show me the photographs they just took of the fire building. Mm-hmm. So they were looking at the photos, and I'm like, okay. All right, we're good.
Exactly.
But,
I mean, that's something that, you know.
So the technology is good in a way, you know, but it will also be bad.
I did see it in other stations where guys are like going to a call and they're videotaping, or they get at the call and they're taking a picture as you're getting off the truck. It's one of my big pet peeves. Like, if you're getting on that rig, you're going to work. Your responsibilities are, you got to get your head into the game and ready to play. Mm-hmm. And if you're looking at your phone, like I could see, I get plenty of guys that do it. They'll bring their phones with them, and they'll be looking on Google, or they'll type the address and get a floor view, like a street view of it, and start going through it and start showing the guys in the cab, hey, look, this is a McMansion that we're going to that has a pool in the back. This is updated photos from a realty office. And look, you know, this house was for sale 2 weeks ago.
And you see the pool, you're like, yeah, we're going to draft from that.
So you're like, you know, and you're going through it. That's great. Once we step foot on ground, the phones stay on the truck, and the guys go to work. Yeah. You know, but yet again, you know, you see technology picking it up, and guys coming around like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
And
it was
that's
good. It was
great.
good. It was pretty cool. I mean, at first automatically you're thinking the negative, and then you see like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Exactly.
There's nothing. The picture's worth 1,000 words, they say.
Yes.
So it's good to see that part of it.
Yeah.
So back to the fire department here. Tell me about the department itself. Like, give me some of the history of this company.
The company was organized in 1922. Obviously, the white trucks.
Right.
We're a Union Beach Fire Company. We are one of 4 firehouses in our town. We do run 4 fire chiefs. Every fire chief is an elected position out of that station.
Okay.
So right now we're running 4 fire chiefs. We got a lot going on with that.
Right.
We did get affected during Hurricane Sandy. Basically, we were separated from everybody else. So we were on our own little island, and we were running calls by ourselves. That's basically what it is. The department is progressive. We're looking at 64 members in the department, plus or minus some.
That's a lot.
Yes,
for this
yes,
size town.
yeah. It's plus or minus. Guys are getting older. Like our most senior man in the department is 50 plus years.
Okay.
And
Wow.
he still puts gear on.
Good for him.
And he comes out to calls, and we love it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to be like, don't put the Scott back on. Like, not right now, But, and just the wealth of knowledge that he brings from what
Absolutely.
the department was
Right.
to what the department is. It's great.
Yeah.
So we're a small department, realistically. But we're growing. We never had a ladder truck in town until recently. One of our stations acquired one, and they are now going from what they were using a small squirt to now a 75-foot rear mount.
Nice.
And they're making that transition from engine company to a truck company, and the department is progressive. We do have an extrication team, which is throughout the whole department. So everybody's basic or advanced extrication certified.
Okay.
We do have a water rescue team, so a good decent amount of the guys are water rescue certified in the process with ice water. We got a couple of guys that are certified ice water. We do have guys that are going for SWIFT and starting to progress. And it's after Hurricane Sandy, seeing the need for this stuff.
Right.
So we're progressing. So it's a progressive department, and we're starting to notice it. I'm starting to notice it within the past 10 years that we're starting to grow so much, and the department's growing. We're starting to do more. We're going places. We're doing more advanced stuff.
That's great.
So that's what we're starting to look at. So that's the gifs of the department, man.
And tell me more about this building, like the history of this building.
This firehouse was built by the members.
Cool.
We own the station. We own the trucks.
So you're talking like literally brick by brick. This was built
Yeah,
by...
I'm telling you, as you've seen, we're in the process of renovation.
Right, I saw in the hallway.
Yeah, we're in the work, and this is all by our members. And it is great. It's the same in the hall. Our members did that. It's the same back. Like 1922, 1940s, it was members that were putting brick by brick.
Right.
And we're starting to open up walls, and we're starting to do things, and we're finding small cans of Schaefer's in the building, like in the bricks, and you're like, what is this? And you start laughing about it.
That's funny.
And you're finding all this history that our guys in the past built our station, so it's time to take pride in it.
Yeah.
So that's why we build upon that.
Do you think that because this is literally that brick by brick building, that there's a lot more ownership, and a lot more pride in this house?
Dramatic. I was a member of another station at one time, and you tried to build that into there, and it was kind of hard. But when you have it, like, take ownership of your house,
Right.
We take ownership of this house. If it's every Sunday that we're up here for cleanups, we are always on a Sunday. We're always up here checking the truck, cleaning the station. That's always been that way. We have had actually guys kicked out because they never showed up on Sundays. Yes.
Yeah.
So we take pride in ownership.
That's awesome.
So that's where it leads to, from our past of the guys that founded this place, that put the first brick down and said, here we go, to today. That's how it is.
How much different is this place when you first joined till today?
Dramatic. You notice it. Like we were running, like staff-wise, 3 guys, 2 guys, very bare minimum. And you started to notice when your cousins or younger, they were playing on the trucks. Now they start to make their way in because their dad was here.
Right.
And they start to make a way in. You start to see the numbers start to jack up. And then you start to see where the captain wanted to take the company. And it was always preached from the chief to the captain, or the captain to the lieutenants. You make this firehouse the way that you want it to progress. And every guy that was in our station, every officer made their way to the white helmet,
Right.
was always, we're going to build this. And we are lucky because every captain that has sat in the front seat and made the push to chief has built this fire company.
It's awesome.
One step at a time. And we do have one. We have a captain that's in right now who's the next chief, and he built the company. He just, here you go. I'm giving you the stones. It's time for you to take it and start building upon yourself. And that's how this company is.
So the way your company's laid out, do you find that majority of your membership support and lead your chief?
Yes. Yes, we joke around. It's like once you wear that white helmet, you're no longer a part of the firehouse. You're no longer a part of the firehouse. But my guys show the support to the chief. Even if it's my senior man who's been an ex-chief out of the time, and you coming into the mix as a chief, like, oh man, my first year, I don't know. I'm so used to be riding that front seat.
Right.
I'm so used to being with the guys and doing that. The captain and the officers and the guys are always right behind you. And then you got your senior man whispering in your ear sometimes, like, hey, I ran into this issue. Maybe you want to take a look into it. Or you get a phone call afterwards. Hey, I would have done this a little bit different. Why did you do that? And you explain it and you bounce that off. But the backing out of this firehouse for me being a chief is awesome. I can't ask for anything better. If it's criticism or if it's, hey, good job.
Right.
I'll take it. It is the way that it is, but it's awesome. I like I said, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
I'm freaking lucky.
Yeah, that's good, man. We were upstairs and we were taking a look, and I was holding a photograph, right? And I said, this is a pretty cool photograph. And you go, funny thing about that photograph, that's my father.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that incident.
My dad used to work in like Perth Amboy, and he was on his way home. And as he was passing by, going through a little area to head home, he noticed there was a heavy smoke condition in the area. And as he was pulling up, it was a 3-story like townhouse, heavy fire upstairs. And there's ladies outside screaming. And my dad stops, and he's like, what's going on? And she's like, my kids are inside. And my dad did not hesitate in any way, shape, or form. It was somebody else that was with him. I don't know if he was off duty or whatnot. And they both ran in, and they pulled him out. And my dad received the Medal of Valor from Monmouth
awesome.
County Firemen's Association.
That's great.
I have the medal, and then my dad has his placard. He since has moved away, but seeing that picture up on the wall, and it really makes you like, I got to lead. I got to live up to his expectations.
What was it like for you to see that photograph even today? What does it mean to you?
It's. I tell my brother all the time. You see what he did. You want to be, and I'm not trying to be. You want to be better than him.
Right.
You want to be what he did, and you want to progress on.
Right, because he set the bar.
Yes, he did.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the same with all my uncles in here. My uncles were chiefs. I wanted that.
Is that difficult for you to? Is it difficult for you to through all this competition, if you will, or all because we're all A-type personalities.
Yes.
We always want to be better than the next. Is it difficult for you to lead or to follow in these people's footsteps? Or
no, not at all. You really hope, and you go back so much. Like, am I leading the department up to their expectations and what they built the department as? And
Right.
that's like the big thing that goes in the back of your mind. But they tell you too, it's your department. You progress the department how you feel. But in the back of your mind, you're going, I don't need to let these guys down.
Yeah.
These guys have built this department,
and that's exactly where I'm going. It's that's a tremendous load.
Yeah, it is.
And so basically, this is a family reunion. This place.
Oh, it is. you come in here, and it's not just it's you're not razzing on each other when it's just when we're here.
Right.
It's like we're at barbecues. We're razzing like, hey man, what was that stretch like the other day? Like, hey, you missed that one, and it's
so it never goes away, really.
Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't. That's why we're so tight knit, and we could really get after each other, and like, you shouldn't have really done that, but yet again, we could hug it out afterwards and have a beer with each other afterwards, and that's what it is. But it makes this firehouse so tight knit,
Right.
because we're legit family.
That's awesome, man. Like I said, it seems like you have everything going for you here, and I love the fact that there's so much pride in this house. So much pride in this house.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
So obviously, training means something to you.
Yes.
Here, right?
Yes.
Training is
Yes.
very important to you. What is it about training for you? Why is training such a huge passion for you? Because like when we spoke the first time in Jackson.
Yes.
That's all we talked about was training, how important training is. Now, everyone today talks about training. I mean, you can go on YouTube right now and you can find a bazillion pages, a bazillion conferences. I mean, it's inundated.
Yes.
What is it about training that makes, what's different for you? Why is it so important?
It's so important. I mean, we all know this is one way or another. I'm going to go out the doors and I might not come back. But if my training is going to lead me to come back, then I'm going to progress on my training. So every day I'm always looking at something. If I see something online, I'm like, okay, well, and you watch the video. I'll call Ron up, my buddy who was down in Florida, like, hey, you see this video, you see this? And start coming to the station. I'm like, you guys see this? Yeah, and then we'll start working at it, and we'll manipulate it. We'll make it to hey, it doesn't work. Maybe we try it this way. But I know if my training is going to get me home, then I'm going to progress on my training. If I know that my training is going to get one of my guys home and not me, then I'm going to progress on my training. And that's how it's supposed to be. It's like every day you open up that door and you go out on a call, career volley or whatever law enforcement or anything. You go out that door, you better be on your A game. Mm-hmm. If you're not on your A game, you're going to get somebody hurt or you're going to get yourself hurt. So that's why I believe in training. You have to put in the time, going to the academy, going to conferences. Even if you come into the firehouse yourself, putting your gear on, crawling around, doing something. If you have a 4-store, working on a 4-store, getting your ass into it and work your ass off.
And don't you think you have to get yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit?
Yes, dramatically. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, I hated heights. I'm like, I'm going to climb this damn ladder. So, and that was the thing. It's like, I hated it. And then at the fire academy, like, in the bucket, 100 foot, and you're like, what the hell is going on? And you're up there, and you're like, I got pushed to when I moved to another station for a little bit, and they had 100 foot at rear mount, and it's a bucket. And I'm in the bucket every day, and I'm like, steady. Now I'm 100 foot straight out, moving around. I don't care. You have to get out of your comfort zone. Guys, confined spaces. They don't like being tucked in, and you can't move so much. Well, guess what? You're going to find that out. You're going to find out the hard way, and this is not the time to find out. Yeah. So progress on your training. Get in there, do it as much as you can.
Again, we have to get out of our comfort zone.
Yes.
And you just literally said it when you said you don't want to find out at that time.
No.
Because when you're in the hallway,
and
your hallway collapses on you, and you're surrounded with Romex and debris and God knows what.
Yeah.
You need to be able to get yourself out of that position. Call your mayday. Mm-hmm. Try to self-extricate. Try to get yourself in that. But if you're panicking, you know what's going to happen. You're going to frost your bottle, and you're done.
Basically, that's what it is. So you see it on studies, and you watch it on YouTube when they're doing drills, or you see the fires, and you listen to the recordings, and you start listening to it, and you're like, okay, Mayday was given perfectly. Notice like a 5-minute benchmark, he's starting to panic. And you start to notice that his air alarm's going off. This is happening, that's happening.
And you hear it in the voice.
Exactly,
and you hear it in
the
breath.
tone, yeah.
Right.
And then you could go to another video and you could listen to the study on that, and you read it, and you could hear the tone. Mayday, 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 and then so calm. And you notice that the duration of the time from the mayday being called and him being pulled out, he still had his length of bottle time. Because he trained on it. When you talk to him and you're able to reach out to the guys like that, and you're like, hey, what did you do? I stayed calm. What else did you do? I trained. I worked at this whole time, conserving air. This is something that I worked on for the longest period of time. This is what I did.
Right.
And you could hear it. So training is key for me. Like, I got to make sure one way or another. If it's not me coming home, it's one of my guys, and that's going to progress on my training. Yep. So that's how I see it. If I don't come home and my guys do, that's fine.
I recently spoke to a fireman that I respect. He's got some time on, and we talked about training a little bit. And you know what he told me, and it makes sense. He says, I have to be honest with you, I'm being overwhelmed by all these different sources for training. He goes, I'm being told this. Okay, I'm going to work on that. Then I'm being told this. Yeah. Then I'm being told that. And before I know it, I don't remember which one I'm supposed to do.
Exactly.
So I think what's happening today is that, and I have a long time on too, right? 26 years and stuff. And in that time frame, a lot's been thrown at me.
Yes.
Some of the stuff I've retained. Some of the stuff I'm like, that's pretty cool, but I don't know that I'm going to do that per se.
Right.
But what's happened, I think, is people are just being overloaded with training.
Yes.
but different theories of training. But then you talk to some people and they say, well, that's good to mix it up and get all different kinds of perspective. Mm-hmm. But don't you believe that a company really should adapt maybe one philosophy and work at that philosophy and work at until they get that nailed down? So
yes. Yeah, and that's what we do here is, we could set up a ladder a certain way, and then you don't like it, and you're like, okay, we work, and we start to notice that it's not working the right way. So all right, let's start changing it. We start changing it, the whole company gets a board of it. Okay, here we go. We're going to start doing this. It's the same as when we run RIT. We had to change our high point kit, like our high point setup, the way that we are, because we had to, at first it was just throwing the ladder up, getting your high point up, getting the guy out the window. Well, what about everybody else? What about all the other guys? Now we had to change. We had to adapt. We had to manipulate everything. So it was, okay, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to bring another ladder. We're going to push. We're going to do this. And we started to work and drill on it, and that's how it is. Yeah. But you see it online. You see guys that see it. They come to the firehouse, they're like, hey, I seen this online. Can we try it? Sure, we'll try it. Hey, this doesn't work for us, but we could change it. And that's what it's supposed to be. Everybody, like the 400-foot stretch, it's like the big thing. Everybody's it works for them. Is it outrageous of pulling a 400-footer and stretching it? It works. It's a lot of hose.
If you're not practicing that,
exactly.
If you're not training with that,
yes,
that 400 feet of spaghetti is a mess.
Yes, and that's where they become very proficient in it. This is how they built their department. And I'm not criticizing because I'm not one to.
Right.
And that's how I am. I see things, I'm like, I wasn't there.
Man, we can go all day. Minuteman, the trifold. I mean, there's so much. There's so many options now. The basket load. There's
yes.
There's so many different options.
Yeah.
What I noticed that when I went to FDIC for the first time this year, I'm in my 40s, and I go out to FDIC, and it was an eye opener, man.
It is, man. It is,
because I did the hot classes, and I'm telling you right now, man. After the first that Monday, I was hurting, But it was so cool to see, these instructors from all over the U.S. Teaching us stuff. I mean, and these are high speed guys, like from serious departments.
Oh man, yeah.
That these guys are doing this stuff
high caliber,
every day.
Man, yeah.
And it was cool to see the different philosophies. But what I did for me personally, when I walked away from FDIC, I said to myself, if I can take away even one thing I learned there, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It was all worth it.
Yeah,
and I did.
Exactly, and what the best part is you bring that back, and that's the thing that we've always taught our guys. It's like, you go to a class and you see that something's interesting, and we've never talked about it. Bring it back, talk to us about it. Let's start working with it. Let's start building upon it, and then we go from there.
Funny story. I get back from FDIC and I go to work, and the volunteer chief got us an acquired structure.
Oh yeah,
like
lucky.
But the timing couldn't have been perfect. I mean, it couldn't have been any better. So he tells me, "Hey, we got this," and it's literally 2 blocks from the firehouse. Right, this is acquired structure. So I had just got back from FDIC, right, and we were doing this high speed vendor isolated search.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we're gonna do this, man. Mm-hmm. So we did it from the ladder.
Right.
We operated Clint.
Yeah. Okay.
We did it from the ladder.
Yeah.
We and I'm telling you, man, because it was fresh in my mind, and we just got done doing it. The guys that we were working with that shift, that tour, we had so much fun, doing that. And so we did that. It was twice. We 2 different tours. We did that.
Right.
And used that building. But I liked it because it was, and like you said, bringing back your training. It was like fresh in my mind. It was all right there. I was enthusiastic about it. So it was good. Everyone got the benefit from that training.
And that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I don't open up a book and I just read it and I close it and I put it on my shelf and that's it. It's like, I open up a book and I read it and it's going to go to my brother. You're going to have to read this book.
Right.
And he'll read it. And then when I tell him, you got to pass it on. So he'll read it, he'll shut it, and he'll give it to my cousin. And that's how our training is supposed to be.
Awesome.
It's anything that you learn, you bring it back. And then you progress upon it. If it's something that doesn't work for the department or works for your company, you change it and you adapt to it. And then that's how it's supposed to be. And that's how it's supposed to be throughout. If you come into the firehouse with all this knowledge and you don't give it to the members or anything, there's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
You know, and you're supposed to not just progress yourself, but you progress your company. And when you go to training, that's what it's about for me. I go to training, and it's not just for me. When I bring it back, I'm giving it to my guys.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's how it's supposed to be.
And you should be enthusiastic to come back and say, hey, this is what I just learned.
Oh, man, yeah. And like going to FDIC, taking the classes there, and then coming back, and I'm like, you know, talking to my captain, and like, we'll be on the phone. And I'm like, yo, this is something that they showed us, this is what we're talking about. And he's like, all right, maybe we need to try this. You know, we're going to try this. And that's, like I said, lucky. Yeah. I'm damn lucky. Because he's like, opens the door. He's like, let's go to the firehouse. Hey, we start doing this. And then the younger guys start showing up like, oh, what are you doing? Like doing this. Or on a Sunday, we start pulling stuff. And they're like, yes. And they feed off of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what's great about what you're doing here at this company is that you're enthusiastic about the training and you're allowing your members to get involved.
Yeah, and it's not just me, it's my guys. Right. And they, even from my youngest member to my captain to me, if they see something, they want to train on it, they're asking, can we do it? Or you come in here and you see him doing it. And you're like, what are you doing? Well, I tried this. And then you watch it for a little bit. You're like, oh, what about if we did this? And, oh, yeah, let's try this. And that's why I say I'm lucky, because the guys in this firehouse want to train. They want to go to fires.
After this interview, man, you're going to have like 50 people banging the door down to come join here. You're like, I don't know, we don't have enough gear.
Yeah, not enough right now, not enough.
It's funny. We talk about training quite a bit and stuff, but training to you means a little bit more, right?
Yes.
And tell me about your company that you have.
Started back in 2013. It was literally a joke.
Okay.
We were just joking around. It was me and my friend Ron. Ron's the co-founder of the company. He's down in Florida. He's on the job down there. Currently, we're recently promoted to captain.
Oh, congratulations.
So he recently promoted to captain. Ron was a volley out of the station. We used to play hockey together. We grew up together. And it's just, he's my best friend.
Another hockey player.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I play hockey too. It's so funny, man. The firefighters in hockey.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's synonymous, man.
Yeah, I mean, the FDNY, NYPD games, you got to go to those games, you know. But yeah, so we were best friends and went to a drill, and it was guys were just talking. And you're like, all right, well, let's go and do it. And they're like, just going. And I'm like, got to the point that my fuse was so short with them. And I'm like, just shut up and goddamn train. Like, what is your problem? And just yelling at them, and they just stare at you. And you're like, And then once you got them in the mix and did everything, you realize that that's all they were about. Was just talk.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get it. So we're like, let's start this Facebook group. And we started it, and we're like, oh, yeah, it's nothing big. And then it just started to progress. And next notice, I'm like, let's start looking into the meat of it a little bit more. Yeah. And we started to. And here we are right now. Yeah, I mean, I'm not about the followers, but it's 22,000 on Facebook, like 15,000 on Instagram. And it's about our followers. It's not about us in any way, shape, or form. You know, I love the content that these guys put out, because with training, that's what that we're always about. So we've been teaching at the big conferences we've been teaching at is the Great Florida Fire School. We're going back this year. We're going to be teaching again, which is phenomenal. Joe DeVito. From Tick Tips. Mm-hmm. He's like the lead out there. He's the thermal imaging guru. Right. He's helped us out and progressed us that way. And we worked with him, and that's where we're at now.
And you do local training too.
Yes,
right?
we do. Yeah, yes, yeah. I do. I do the recertifications for Home Dole First Aid Squad. They've implemented the Firefighter down CPR. So I'm now their recertification
awesome.
Reach out. So they're like, hey, can you come in and teach? And I'm like, sure. That's when I'm going to teach you firematics to them. And they want to progress on it. They want to see what we do. Mm-hmm. And in case that we're not involved, how can they take care of this? So I provide training there. I provide training in my department. We do, we're all over the place. And it's great. We're just starting. And it's literally, it's a two-man band. Yeah. It's just me and Ron. And
that's I know about that.
So, but yeah, we started back in 2013, and it just has blown up.
Did you think it was going to be what it is now?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I didn't realize the people that I was going to meet. And that was the great thing.
That is the awesome part about this, right?
Yeah. I mean, Ray McCormick, Captain Morris, Mike Champo, Rick George, just all these people that you're able to sit down and they're like, yeah, I heard about you guys. It's like, oh, great content you guys putting out and this and that. And you're like, I'm literally just a small town kind of guy, and then this is a big world. And
Bro, everything you're saying is like hitting home because Chris and I went out to Pennsylvania to this what was that, like a flea market type thing? Yeah, Firefighter.
Oh, the flea market. Okay, yeah.
Pretty cool. And, we were out there setting up our stuff and stuff. And when we first got there, I'm like, oh, man, it was like a yard sale.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know if we're supposed to be here,
Yeah.
So, because we had like a little booth and then directly next to us, home was selling fire truck tires. And,
little rotor-rays and all that stuff, yeah.
But what we found there is, guys were walking by, we're walking past the booth and stuff, and like, hey, PintheQ, we know you guys. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
You know us? Like,
Yeah.
we're nothing. They're like nobody nothing.
Exactly. And FDIC was that for us. And, we were going down just to enjoy the conference.
Right.
I mean, it was our first time going to the conference.
Yeah, me too.
And we're like, let's go down. And you don't realize. And then we're like at a bar and we're just hanging out, the Clatta, the place where everybody goes. Yep. So we're hanging out and a couple guys walked up and the kid was like, I know you. I'm like, I owe you money? Like, I'm like, no, man, I don't know who you are. And he's like, shut up and train. Like, yeah. And he's a fireman out in like Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And he's like, we watch your stuff. We love the stuff that you put out. And I'm like, oh, thanks. And you don't expect that.
Yeah, awesome.
We don't look for that. We don't look for being famous. We don't want that.
Right.
But what we're gathering is the culture of the department and progressing, the culture of the fire service. And, with the content that people bring in, we push out is because we love it.
Absolutely. The passion. That's why I'm doing this. And it's cool. Like you said, you don't want the fame or that stuff.
Absolutely not.
But what's cool is when you get out there and you start meeting people that you get to meet.
Yes.
And it never would have been possible if not for this.
Yeah.
Like people I've met and been surrounded by, like you guys.
Yeah.
The zoo crew.
Oh my God.
Now I don't think people realize because they've had some haters and they're like,
we do too.
Right.
It is what it is.
But people don't realize what they're doing. It's comedy.
Yes.
It's meant to be funny. They're not.
No, they're not trying to belittle the fire service.
Right.
And when I had the first time of meeting these guys, I was starstruck. I was like, it's the guys, and they were like starstruck with us, and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, yeah. But when you talk to them, their passion is firefighting.
Absolutely.
And the community that they work for.
Yes.
And when you talk to Kyrie and you talk to Corey, you talk to all of them, and they're like, we did this because it was kind of a relief from the stress on what goes on.
Absolutely.
And people, we all know it. Like, there's haters out there. It is what it is.
Right.
No matter what you do, there's going to be somebody that's going to hate you.
Absolutely.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We get them too, but I don't let the negativity affect anything that we're doing.
Exactly.
I just stay forward.
Well, that's what it is.
But those guys at the zoo crew, like we were talking about this, and I agree 100%. They love firefighting. When at FDIC, we got to actually sit down and have dinner together. You were there, and Ronnie was there, and we were all talking. And those guys love firefighting, man.
Oh, dude, it's awesome.
And meet guys like that, Bobby Eckert.
Oh God, Bobby, awesome dude.
Firefighter Improving Grounds, like all these different guys that you get to meet and get to talk to, and find out that we all share the same thing, and that's passion.
Yes. And I mean, the first podcast that I've ever been on, and the first time that we've actually not exploded, but really progressed, really grew, is I sat down with all the guys from Rob, Mike, and Mike from Flow and Vent.
Right.
And I sat down with them, and me and Rob text each other all the time. I'm like, hey man, look at this job that we caught.
Another awesome guy.
Yeah, phenomenal. They're all great guys. And then when you sat down and you started talking about everything, and you knew, oh, I fit in with these guys. Just the passion that they have for the fire service. And you're like, this is awesome. And the people that you meet, Bobby Eckert of all people, I'm not going to lie. Like, you know it as well as I do. Like, you go to his class, you walk out, and you're like, I got to grab a job. I need work.
Dude, Bobby's class, you literally get in the parking lot like, oh, man, I hope we get a fire right now.
Yeah, it's like I drive back home, and I'm like on my phone, and I'm like, dude, I hope we catch work. Like, we need work. And they're like, what? And I'm like, you got to go to the class. And then a couple of guys from a new chief from another department, he came to the Jackson class.
Yeah.
And we're walking out the door, and he's like, oh, man. He's like, we got to get work. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I told you that this is...
He is so He is so freaking passionate
Oh my
about what
God,
he does,
yeah.
man. I am, you know, you used the word lucky before. Right?
Yes.
I'm very lucky that him and I became friends. And we talk at least 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And I tell you, man, he has so much passion in what he's doing.
Oh.
I mean, his time off, he's got his kids and he's looking at all these different construction buildings. And he'll see like a building on construction. He's out of his car. He's taking pictures. He's measuring stuff.
Yes.
I mean, that guy, he is high speed, man.
Exactly. And that's somebody that you need in the fire service. You need
Yes.
in the culture because he's seeing things different than any of us,
Mm-hmm.
but he's taking his passion.
And he's teaching.
And exactly, you know, and he's posting his stuff on Instagram, you know, because that's where we're starting to notice our culture is going. A lot of people are going to social media, you know, and it's great to see him at the fire academy, but he's seeing all this stuff that a lot of people ain't going to see. But one day you're going to run into this.
Absolutely. And already you're going to remember something he was driving home.
Yes.
Driving home. And next thing you know, you're like, now all of a sudden you've adopted that same philosophy,
Yes.
and now it's burned into your DNA.
Yeah.
You know, and then
yes.
you're going to get in that situation and go, I know what to do because Bobby was yelling at me for 5 minutes about it.
Exactly.
You know?
And it's great when you're able to talk to guys like that and they provide so much information to you
Yes.
and they're throwing it at you.
Yeah.
And it's legitly free training. I mean, yet again, FDIC, we're spending guys are spending buku money to go out there and
man.
get the best training that they're getting.
Yes.
Guys going to this local training, they're spending a bunch of money.
Let's be honest about FDIC. I mean, it's expensive.
Yes.
However, you get what you pay for.
Oh, you definitely do.
You know, and I'll be very honest with you. I could not and would not be able to afford FDIC if not been for my fire district.
Right.
If the fire district can say, "Hey, we're going to send you FDIC," I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm not going to give them an opportunity to say,
Yeah.
to take it back. So I'm like, "Yes, please, let's go."
Yes, and
And I'm very, very lucky.
Exactly, and that's the same. You know, like I pay out of pocket. A lot of our guys pay out of pocket when they go to training that we don't have the money for.
Right. I do pay out of pocket for
Yeah.
a lot of my training too, but that happened to be one of those like cash cows. Like, oh my God, I got to take advantage of this.
And that was the thing. It's like when me and Ron were talking, he's gotten the department paid for him to go
Right.
for his training. Me, I paid out of my pocket. I'm going to spend the money to go here to
It's an
this huge
investment.
conference. Exactly, it's a huge investment. I'm
your life.
investing. Exactly, I'm investing on myself.
Right.
And when you actually go there and you're able to walk around, and obviously, we're meeting the guys that we talk to. Blake, Charlie,
Oh, man.
the
Next
guys
one.
from Axford, all those guys. And then when you're walking around the convention hall and you're looking at trucks and you're standing less than 50 feet from Captain Morris, retired FDNY, you're just like, and to some people, they're like, well, he's a retired captain. Like, some people wouldn't even know that. And you're like, no, I'm starstruck. Like,
Yeah.
I'm fangirling right now. Like, and then you're able to go talk to him and you're like, Cap, can I speak with you really quick? And he's like, yeah. And you're like, oh, and some people would think that he'd blow you off. He would
No,
stand. He
dude.
stood there for 20 minutes talking to me and Ron about forcible entry and talking about all this stuff. Like, hey, we had a fire. We had this problem. He was like, you should have done this. You should have changed this. Maybe you do this.
Yeah.
And you're like, that right there is free training. I just got 20 minutes
From a
legend.
From a legend.
And that's the same with Ray when we were able
Ray
to sit down with
McCormick,
Ray McCormick.
Yep.
And, he was feeding it. Here you go. And then, I'm there with my department chief at the time, my ex-chief, and then it's me. We're sitting at the table, and we're like, oh, he's feeding it to us. Let's start taking it.
Yep.
And that's what FDIC is about. When you go there, you're willing, you pay the money, but you're able to get so much training from people that are on the floor, and it's great.
Dude, FDIC for me, I'll tell you a real quick story. So I'm in the hot classes. So we had 2 days of hot classes.
Right.
So the second day was broke up into two 4-hour sessions. The first day was the real world fireground operations, the
Okay.
8-hour class.
The 8-hour
that was
section,
like
yeah.
ridiculous. Right? So then Tuesday comes, I'm like trying to get, I'm done, man. I'm fried.
You're just
right?
trying to
I'm
move
fried.
along.
So now I have these 2 4-hour classes I have to do. And one was truck company operations. So I get there, the first instructor comes out. We're doing elevators. Right?
Okay.
So we're going to talk about how to take rescue people out of elevators.
Yeah.
I'm looking. I'm like, is that Captain Morris? Dude, my instructor's Captain Morris.
Yes.
FDNY retired rescue one.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And like you, I was like starstruck. Like that's like my daughter seeing somebody from next whatever that One Direction or one of those things. So I'm like, oh my God, this is Captain Morris. Now everyone else everybody was just like, yeah, it's cool. It's Captain Morris, you know. A couple guys were taking pictures of him and stuff, and we're not allowed to take pictures of FDIC. But so I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my God. And for a minute, I'm like, holy cow, I'm gonna get like a one-on-one instruction from Captain Morris.
Yes.
And then 2 seconds later, he's taking a piece of rope out of his pocket.
Oh yeah.
And he's putting me in a rig, right?
Yeah.
To put me down this elevator, hatch door. And he is, so for a minute, Captain Morris is standing in front of me and he's putting a rope around me. I'm thinking to myself, here's the guy I used to watch on VHS tapes.
Yes.
On VHS tapes.
Yes, I do. I remember it.
Okay. So here's this guy, like this legend. Yeah. And now I'm getting firsthand knowledge from this guy.
Yes.
So I'm already like, I'm flying high. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm like, this was worth it for me. I can't believe I'm getting this instruction. I got to meet a guy I respect so much.
Exactly.
Get out of that. I go to my next station. Guess who my next station is?
Champo?
No. His son.
Oh, jeez.
Right?
Oh, man.
So I'm in there now. There's 2 guys from FDNY, Rescue 1.
Yeah.
We're gonna take people off the Stokes from the 5th floor down to the 1st floor.
Down, yeah.
Using rigs and ropes. So the guy, you know, he's giving us instruction on his name bib. I see Morris. I'm like, I go, oh, man, I said, hey, are you in relation to Captain Morris FDNY? He goes, that's my dad.
Yes. He filled in after his dad in Rescue 1.
Yeah, so he goes, I'm Rescue 1 in FDNY. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
no.
So within, whatever, an hour's time, here I have, you know, this family legend.
Right.
And this legacy,
yes.
if you will,
yes.
of these 2 guys. And later that day, I got to sit and actually talk to his son. And I'll tell you what, man, I told him, I'm like, I got to tell you, man, it was such an honor to meet your dad and to be able to, you know, he goes, how do you think I feel? He goes, I'm literally like following my dad's footsteps. He goes, and then I came, you know, from a sock company, or now when I'm in a Rescue 1,
yeah.
He goes, every day for me is like an honor to be able to be here at Rescue 1.
I can only imagine like the expectations due to the name that they have for him.
Yeah.
You know, because you got to follow in your father's footsteps. But they're awesome guys.
Think of the captains at FDNY, man. Captain Hatton. I mean, these guys that you have to like try to be
you actually, yeah. I mean, I've had the chance of meeting Paul Hashhagen. I mean,
me too, man. That was
awesome. I've seen the podcast, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh, he's meeting Paul. I'm like, that's awesome. And then when I had the chance of sitting down with Paul too, and like he put in a class at all hands, and
that's how I got that interview.
That's Don Calaruso, awesome.
Hooked me up.
Yeah, and then when I actually we took his class where he was.
Is it 100 years of history?
Yes, of Rescue 1. You know, he signed my book, and I actually was able to stand there and talk to him.
Chris got his book signed.
That's always good, man. And then you sat there and you talked to him,
right.
And the history that he had for Rescue 1 and the FDNY was phenomenal.
Yep.
And then when you were able to talk to him about technical rescue, and you're able to talk to him about all this stuff, it was just, oh my God, you couldn't. Yeah. You're like, oh my, you can't.
Those are lifetime experiences.
Yes.
You know, for me to be able to sit across from him for 2 hours and talk to him like you and I are talking.
Yeah.
And brother, he was talking to me like you are talking right now.
Yeah,
he's down to earth, and you know, like he's the same way. I was starstruck with that guy. Like I'm like, wait a minute, I'm this nobody that's going to be sitting talking to Paul Hashhagen
exactly.
from Rescue 1. This guy's been interviewed by like major news, networks, major people in fire service, and here I am, this little, this little suitcase show.
and that's the thing. Yeah. It's what the best part about the fire service is.
It is.
You know, when you're able to meet guys that kids have their. Like baseball players.
Absolutely,
and this is what I want to be, this is who I want to be, football players. That's, in the fire service, that's what we look at, because you see these guys and then you hear about their legacies and you hear about that and you're like, you know what, this is what I want. I want to be something like that. Like I want to end my career when I step foot out of here and I say, I can no longer put a Scott pack on. I can no longer do what my young bucks are doing. It's time for me to step off.
What is my legacy?
Exactly. I'm leaving the fire service. Am I leaving the fire service the better of the way than I started?
Right.
And you're starting to walk out the door, and then I want my brother, or I want my guys to sit there and say, I want to be like him. And I mean, as how I see it as when I'm here, it's the captain currently in the company, Ronnie. I wanted to be like him. He was a captain, and he is a captain that my guys will follow. And I followed him throughout. And I want to be that chief because he took the department and progressed it.
Right.
And that's what I want. But when I walk out of here, I want to be that guy. I want the younger guys to say, I want to work all the way up to chief to be just like him. And then that's what the fire service should be. We're seeing all these guys, Captain Morris, Paul Hashhagen, Ray McCormick. The list goes on and on.
Yeah.
And that's what you should drive for.
Yeah.
And that's what you should set. I want to be like this guy. I want to be like these guys. I want to be like this. If you don't want to be, pick a guy in your station, pick your senior man. Be that way.
Yeah.
And that's how it's supposed to be.
It's funny, when you start the fire service as a young kid, I mean, I got in when I was 14
Okay.
as a junior member.
Right.
And at the time, it was in Beechwood, and there was a member there that I'm like, if I can be like that guy, I'm going to try to be like that guy. That's the guy I want to try to be like. And his name is Roger Hall.
Okay.
He was actually my very first episode 1.
Okay, yeah, okay, all right, yeah.
Chief Roger Hall.
All right.
He was the guy that, when I started out as a young kid, he was a little older than me.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I joined, he was like maybe 18 or 19. So
Right.
he had just gotten to the point where he can, he's good. He's going on his own.
Right.
And I watch him, man, aggressive. You want to talk about it? And this is transitional attack and all this stuff and interior. None of that was even a
glimmer.
we went in. We were in the front door. We were in there, man.
Yeah, man.
And
That's like we were discussing. That's a 4-letter word here, my friend.
Yeah. That's a whole nother. We're not
Yeah,
gonna
exactly.
Get
We're not going to get weird now.
but he was the guy, like, getting it done, man.
Yeah, that's
Getting it done. And he was always the guy that wanted to get you to get to his level.
Yes.
Like, he was never trying to push you down. He was always trying to get you to do what he's doing. And I remember a couple times, him grabbing me by the scruff and going, "Let's go."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just stay on my heels, do what I do.
Yeah.
And we, back in those days, man, in the 90s and stuff, it was, we had fires.
Yeah.
We had a lot of work. And the company I was with, they were very family oriented, very strict.
Yeah, that's
Very strict.
Yeah.
But very family oriented too at the same time. And I followed him, and now to see him, chief multiple times.
Yeah.
He's still, though, as a chief, like, if he's going out of town, as we say, go to another town, and when he goes out of town, he's got a pack. He's through the front door, and I'm telling you, you'll see him with irons. I mean, he's...
Oh, you have to be that. You got to be that working chief.
He's that guy.
But that's a guy that your younger members should really look at and say, that's where I need to progress.
Absolutely.
And like I said, Ronnie, as captain here, he was like that to me. He was the guy that will grab you by the scarf back and say, let's go.
That's my question. Is there a guy in the fire service for you?
Yes.
Is Ronnie that guy?
Ronnie's that guy. And then, he's the guy that I always looked forward, always up to.
Right.
And then like my uncles and the way they were aggressive and how they still are aggressive in the fire service. But Ronnie, as an ex-chief, giving me that experience of being a current chief and being captain. I had the privilege of riding the front seat in charge when he was wearing his white helmet.
Cool.
And it's a great honor when you have a chief and a guy who's well known in our area, like him, who's an instructor, and he's like the main guy you need to go to for things.
Right.
To literally say, you know what, I want to be him.
Was it tough for you to see him go?
Yeah, it kind of, when he came off the front, when he came out of the ring, he went into his own car, and I'm like, oh man, this sucks. But yet again, it was to the point
I'm talking about with Florida.
Oh, no. The Ron, there's two Rons.
Oh, you're confused.
Yeah, I'm confused. Ron, if I ever talk about Ron, who's the co-founder of my company, I call him Fish.
Fish, okay.
Fish, yeah. So that's a long story as well. And that came out of here. So Ronnie Burkhart.
Okay.
He's the current captain out of the station.
So Ronnie Burkhart's your mentor?
Yes.
He's your mentor.
Yes,
okay.
he's my mentor. He's the guy that I look forward to be and I strive to be as a fire chief because we had a lot of happen when he was a fire chief. Unfortunately, we had an LODD in our town. He was fire chief at the time. Anything that happened, it was on the weight of his shoulders. But he showed the department that no matter what goes on, we're still going to progress. We're still going to keep on going. We're going to push forward, and that's how it was. Hurricane Sandy was the same thing. He was a deputy fire chief. He made sure, he was like, we got to keep on, we've got to show these people that we're not giving up.
Right.
Give them a glimmer of hope. And that's, and that's what I strive for. And that's what I want.
How difficult was the LODD for this company?
Well, the LOD, it was a member out of our other department, out of our other station. It was kind of hard. We were second due. We were in the back of the building. It was a commercial structure. They do hydraulic lines or anything like that, and we had heavy involvement in the rear. We were in the process of like cutting doors and trying to get to the fire in the back. The first company that was in was stretching a 2.5 on the inside, making it an aggressive attack, and it's yet again that's what we base our department on, is being aggressive. 3-man engine company show up, pump operator doing his job. They stretch out. They start making the push inside. He was doing the job of the control man, so he was coming back and forth and he was feeding hose to the nozzle man and the officer who was the backup guy, and he was coming back and forth. And as we were working in the back and we're still showing up, and he came out front, and unfortunately they watched him. Ronnie was standing right there too, and he just dropped right on the front wall, right on the front sidewalk, and our neighboring RIT team that we do call out to all of our structure assignments, they scooped them up, got them in the rig, and started working them. And it's just unfortunate, but we took that as a block and said, okay, this is what we had. Let the department regroup. The company took themselves out of service for a time being. We answered their calls because we were doing a 2-company dispatch in our area. Right. So we told them, we'll take your calls. Yeah. You guys got to get your stuff in order.
Yeah, you have to mourn, man.
And we're like, we'll do what we need to do for you guys. And we did. And we decided to take that as a stepping stone and said, okay, now you have your respiratory certifications, and you go and you get that when you're done with when you're coming into the department. Right. We're like, you know what? We're going to take this one step above. We're going to Bugio. So all of our guys,
great program,
dude, it's awesome.
I did it. It was awesome.
Yeah, and my brother did it. I did it. Guys in the firehouse did it. We were like, we're going to DiBugio, and we took the DiBugio thing, and then we made it kind of a look. You guys might want to look at it, and then the department guys in the department started going. Good, because we wanted to make sure. So we adapted to an LODD, and then we changed it and made it into something that we needed to do.
So something so negative. Yes. And so terrible created a positive.
Yeah, dramatic.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, it's something that's LODD here. That's our second LODD. We had actually one out of our station.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, God, I think it was like in the 40s. I'm not 150% positive. Well, our engineer was pumping on the truck. His name was Gus Durner. He was a department chief, a legacy. He was the guy that you needed to go to. He was an aggressive guy. And he was working on our 57 World of France, and he was pumping. And as we were working on it, a couple of our guys that are still here were working on the fire, coming out and talking to him. And then next notice, they come out and they're yelling about pressure, and they found him laying next to the truck. And the guys were working on him. So, he was out of our station. And, that's, so we're not. It's nothing new to us. It's our second one,
right?
But we progressed on that and said, okay, now we need to do this. And back then, firefighter down CPR and stuff like that.
Heart disease is a huge factor in the fire service. Cancer, heart disease. I mean, unfortunately now, suicides is another big one too.
Yes.
So you have all these things already weighing against us.
Yeah.
So again, back to training. Mm-hmm. At least now we have a little better education, a little more knowledge about the things that are killing us.
Yeah.
We're trying to do something about it.
And yes, and I mean, we noticed this, and then we're like, okay, we're going to adapt to this.
Yes.
This is what we noticed, and then it's the same with, suicide. Mm-hmm. We took one hard, physically and like mentally, we took one really hard. But yet again, our guys took it upon themselves to go and get the help and ask for the help, and we confided in each other on what was happening. And when we're talking now, our guys are very cognizant to looking for these signs, mm-hmm. and always talking. And I mean, we're John out here and teach, and that's how I met Blake.
Talk about, again, people with passion. Blake and Charlie at Nextron. I mean, we're huge, and that will never end for me.
No.
I will always support their mission. I will always support their doing. At the same time, we never throw it in your face. No. We never push anybody. Listen, all they are is a resource.
Yes.
They're a resource.
Yes, and I found them on Facebook, and and I'm like, I was going through a hard time. And I'm like, oh, man, I need to talk to somebody. So instead of reaching out to who we would reach out for our county and so forth, I reached out to them personally. And Blake sends me his phone number. He's like, call me. And I'm like, okay, like this is kind of weird. And I call him up, and our phone conversation, I think, was like 3.5, 4 hours. And talking about what happened, and then talking about me and how am I going to adapt to it. And it was really hard for me because it's, I'm riding the front seat. This is my guys.
Yeah.
One of my best friends.
Right.
And, like everybody, we're family here, And it was really hard, but I was able to reach out to these guys as a resource, and it was awesome, the feedback. So we ended up implementing, something like that, having Sahatchin come and teach, and then our guys taking classes on suicide prevention and what the signs to look for and all this stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
And, and that's what you need to do. And it's the same way with our training. Like, for me, it's RIT. I love RIT work. Yeah. And I'm passionate. The NIOSH reports and all the LODD reports and everything like that, I take those and I read them. And I'm like, due to their deaths, sacrifices that they had to make, and then the bad came worse, and then this is where it came. I'm going to make sure that this never happens with my guys.
Bro, look at some of these trainings we do, right? The Nance.
Yes.
Right? The Denver drill. These are all, the reason we're doing these is because someone unfortunately passed, or multiple people have passed, but we're learning from it. Yes. And in their memory.
Yes.
We're making something of it.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And then you're like, you bring it upon, you're like, it's just unfortunate. Right. Because the books of policies are written in red covers because of the blood that they have spilled to put those on there. And that's how I see it.
That's a good point.
And that's where we build from. It's unfortunate that we see, the deaths in the fire service. We're unfortunately seeing the suicides, and we're unfortunately see this. But how are we going to adapt to this and try to fix it and try to make sure that we mitigate these problems? And how can we, if it's getting a guy through a hole through the floor, or breaching the wall to get him through, or taking the guy away from the bottle and the gun, and that's how we need to adapt to it. And that's where I, with training. Right. Going to these conferences, a lot of people don't know about, like, suicide prevention. Like, oh, he's just down on his luck. Yeah, well, I started to realize more and more with what occurred in my station when you had a conversation with that person, you start to think about it. He gave me keys, and I didn't pick up on it because I wasn't trained in it, or I didn't realize it until, unfortunately, now you start to see it, and you talk to guys, and you're like, hey, man, how's everything going? You're like, all right. And you start digging, and like I said, my guys, we're always on the phone with each other. We got a group me, and that thing never stops. Like, I have to mute it in the middle of the night. So, and it's pretty much like the same with our group chat. My wife's like, is that really going to stop? And I'm like, no, But the guys are always reaching out to the guys.
But those types of group chats and those group messages things, I think they're all very, very good for morale.
Yes. And we bust chops, and that's all it's supposed to be. But guys talk about it, and then when you notice that there's something going on, one of the guys will text me and be like, hey, I think there's something wrong with so-and-so. Yeah. All right. Hey, man, what's going on? Oh, nothing. Hey, you want to come out? We're going out to dinner. Yeah. He'll come out, and you notice, and you start BSing with him, and you start to notice that he's having, like, financial issues, or he's having this. And they're going to start to open up because they know, I need to talk to somebody.
And what you realize, what you just did there is you just opened the dialogue.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah. Man. And Ronnie Burkhart was the same thing. When he became captain, he told me he has an open door policy. The officers have an open door policy, or doors never closed. Right. And sometimes when I call him, he's like, "Jesus, what do you want now?" Or I'm like, "Hey, look, I'm really sorry for calling you." He's like, "Shut up, stop being sorry." And he's, and I talk to him about what goes on in my life. Right. What's going on. What I'm having problems in the firehouse and stuff in the department, and and that's what I'm lucky about, because my guys knew it, and they're still going about it. So a text message, phone calls, I don't care if it's 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. Hey, pick up the phone, give me a call. You need a ride from the bar, call me. I'll come and pick you up. And that's what it's about.
Absolutely.
That's the best part of what I enjoy in the fire service.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Listen, man, it was so fun talking to you, man. Having this opportunity to be able to discuss everything that's going on here. Any last thoughts, man? Anything you'd like to add?
No, other than training, man. That was our big thing. That's why I do what I do.
Tell these the viewers about your company real quick. Let's plug your company. And by the way, that wasn't the intention here. So
no, not at all. No.
If you once you plug your company, so if anybody wants information about what you do in your company,
you can follow us on Instagram at Shut Up and Train Fire. You can follow us on Facebook at Shut Up and Train. You go over to our website, it's swatfire.com.
Okay.
You can reach out to us there. Our Instagram is like pretty much the place where you could reach us. If you're sending content, just DM us and we'll post it. But yeah, they can reach out to us. We do provide training. We're in the process of that a little bit more. Yet again, you guys got to give us everybody's just got to give us a little bit of time for the simple fact of it's just a two-man band. Right. And it's like, I'm working up here and Ron's doing this. Florida, and, it's like Ron has all the merch down in Florida. And he's trying sending, he's working his 24-48s or 48s, 24s. He's all over the place. But we get our stuff that we need to get out there. So we do have hats and everything. But yet again, we're not here to make money. I'm not looking to make myself a millionaire. I'm not looking to make a buku amount of money. I'm not looking to make money at all. Whatever money's put into the company from merch is for the company itself.
Right, just to keep it going.
Exactly. Yeah. Our website, the materials, the stickers, and so forth. And yet again, the only reason that we're doing this is stuff like this, that I could sit down with guys and we could talk about training or go and teach and do all this stuff. And because that's what we're passionate for. And I noticed in my time that as I have been in the fire service, if I didn't have the training on what I was doing, getting caught up in wire and being in situations that were very, this is, I don't know about this. But if I didn't go and get that training, I wouldn't have made it out, or the guys providing the training. So that's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
We're going to be at FDIC again this year.
Cool.
We're not going to be teaching, but we're going to be there again taking classes, because that's what we're all about. We love to meeting our friends and
we'll have a good time
again.
Yeah,
it's going to be awesome. And the next one is we're going down to the Great Florida Fire School in October.
Cool.
It's an open event, so if anybody's wanting to get away from the chill of Jersey, come on down to Florida for a week. Got some great instructors. It's awesome. October 20th through the 27th is where we're going to be down there. I'm going to be building on a lecture, a RIT team, RIT operations down and dirty, and Ron's going to be doing aggressive handline management.
Awesome.
So, we're teaching that, and if you guys want classes, if anybody wants classes, you can reach out to us. If we can't provide the class, we're going to reach out to somebody that can provide it. And that's what we're all about, man.
Awesome, bro. It was a great time, man. I really enjoyed our time together, man. I knew it was going to be fun as soon as when I first met you for the first time in Jackson.
Yeah, man.
We just talked for 5 minutes. I'm like, man, I like this guy.
Dude, it's if you don't love it, it's time for the door, man. It's time to go. So I have a great passion for it. My wife has embraced it, so I'm lucky. Yeah. She's like, huh? Well,
I definitely know what I'm gonna name this episode. So
but yeah, we've been together. We've only been married for like 3 years. We've been together for, I got to make sure I get this right, like 13. Okay. So she's been in through the mix of the whole fire service and seeing me moving up.
The 10 years she invested into your BBS.
Yeah, so, and it's like, hey, on Sundays I got to go to the firehouse, and drills I got to do this. And, and she embraced it.
Yeah, you're lucky.
And like I said, that is, I am lucky. Like the firehouse that I come into and the calls that I go on with these guys, I am lucky, and that's how it is. And that's how everybody should take this away. When you walk into your firehouse, you should be lucky to walk into your firehouse. Absolutely. If it's career or if it's volley, you need to be lucky.
I agree.
And then that's how I am. I'm everybody that I take from this firehouse, I'm lucky to have them in my lives. I'm lucky to see them on a fire ground. And as a fire chief, I stand outside, and I get mad about it. I'm like, I'm standing outside. This sucks. But when I see my guys go to work and I see them come out, I'm lucky to see them.
It's rewarding too.
Yeah, it's great. But man, I am lucky. Like
good for you,
full
bro.
end.
Well, I like these interviews when everybody's happy. That makes me happy too. Well, here you have it, episode 25. Brother, I appreciate your time. Thank you for inviting me into your home.
Hey man,
it was a cool place. The White Knights. Here we are in Monmouth County. This episode was sponsored by Axe Head Threads.
Awesome.
Our boys over there in Indiana are. Speaking about, the camaraderie and the brotherhood and family.
God, yeah.
Went to Indy and, met those guys.
Oh,
They're like, yeah, come to our house. Let's go. And like next thing you know, I'm in the car and we're going to the shop. And I'm telling you, we had such a good time there and getting to meet them and actually sitting and talking to them. Then they took me to their firehouse, Sugar Creek.
oh yeah.
And we got to meet the fire department there. And every single person in that house, hugs, handshakes.
Yeah.
They're feeding me dinner.
Oh my
They're making
God,
me.
man.
I'm telling you, man, that we are so lucky to have what we have in this fire service. I mean, the brotherhood, the camaraderie, the firemanship.
Yes, and then that's what it's supposed to be about.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
if you don't reach out and you don't see this, then it's really not for you.
Yeah.
But yet again, I was talking to those guys and they in open arms. I mean, the same with Taylor from Taylor Tids.
Yeah. Oh, Taylor's
awesome
another
dude. And when you're able to talk to these guys,
Yeah.
and they'll open up. They're like, hey man, give you a hug, and you're like, I only talk to you through like Facebook or on my phone, and
that's
it's so awesome. Now.
That's the message we're trying to get out to people out there right now. If you're listening, you're watching, take that time to get to know people.
Yes,
man.
yes.
And embrace this love for the fireman, for firemanship, for firefighting, and for the brotherhood.
Yes.
And that's what this message is about. And I'm glad we were able to bring that out of us.
Yeah, man, it's awesome.
again.
But anytime, man, anytime.
All right, so thanks again for watching another episode of PintheQ Podcast. Remember, like Shut Up and Train, we are on Instagram. We're also on Facebook and, of course, YouTube, which you're watching right now. If you have not already, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can see more and more episodes and you'll get that notification to your phone and annoy your family even more when it goes off
Yes.
to let you know there is another PintheQ episode. Be sure to check out our website, which is upgraded. Finally. Yeah, right. Finally. And that is www.pintheq.com. All right, stay safe, be careful, and look out for each other.